Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all. And today, Konami dropped a new ban list after the KC Cup. Everyone's been excited to see what's going to be out on the ban list. Everyone's been excited to see what's going to be on the ban list, and we want to take a look and see if primarily Tachon and Shiranui have been reined in. There are some other outliers. In the top 100, we saw a lot of live twins and a lot of Mayakashi as well. Rockets appear to have been removed from the meta entirely, and Tenyi performed much worse than we were expecting. Shout out to the one Raw player who got top 100. Good for you, bro. But let's take a look at the Forbidden List and see what's going on. So first up, we have Tachyon Transmigration going to be limited to 1. This is a big change. It means that Tachyon no longer has access to Divine Dragon Felgrand, which is one of their best turn 1 plays. So, first of all, let's talk about what's going to happen. Obviously, in this instance, it's very clear that the Tachyon players are going to continue to use Transmigration. That's not really a choice here. When Salamangreat got hit and they put Roar and Gazelle to 1, I was expecting a more even spread where some people chose to play Roar and some people chose to play Gazelle. But that did not happen, and I underestimated how useful Gazelle was at milling other cards, because really Gazelle had been milling just Roar the whole time. So I didn't realize that cards like Falco were that good in the graveyard before people started to play Gazelle by itself. But in this case, Transmigration is directly related to the skill. It's so easily searched, and it's a specific card that's drawn. If you're not playing Transmigration, then the skill becomes a lot worse. So I don't think that anyone is going to cut Transmigration for Divine Dragon Felgrand. So Felgrand is out, which means that you don't have ways to protect your Tachyon as easily. And I think that means that a lot of Tachyon players are going to start running Forbidden Lance instead, because a lot of what Felgrand did was it was basically a way to protect you from cards like Book of Moon or Dark Hole, which are great options against Tachyon when they play this trap card. So I think this is going to have a much bigger impact on the deck than just cutting Felgrand. Now you have to run replacement cards to do what Felgrand did. Probably Book of Moon, probably Forbidden Lance, possibly Forbidden Chalice as well, just to make sure that your Tachyon is not being removed from the field early. As far as the turn 1, I believe that Tachyon is going to switch to Dingirsu, Orchestra of the Evening Star as their primary turn 1. Dingirsu and Tachyon. That does mean that they will still be protected from cards like Shiranui Spirit Master. And it's arguably as powerful or better because, yes, you don't keep the negate, but you can do the effect multiple times in one turn. That's pretty useful. And Dingirsu is a much better card going second than Divine Dragon Felgrand is. But, of course, Tachyon was already running Dingirsu, so they still had access to it before. We'll have to see. This is definitely a huge nerf. Coach King Giant Trainer is going to 1. That is very surprising. I didn't think that Coach King Giant Trainer going to 1 was the proper solution, and this isn't the only change that they're making to Tachyon either. This does hurt Triple D, because Triple D likes to play Giant Trainer and they like to play Thomas, but I believe Thomas got changed as well, so I don't think that this was necessary. Let me check. I don't believe that there were too many decks running Giant Trainer at top 100, but let me check. The guy who played Tachyon at 2 in second place was playing Giant Trainer. Huh, interesting. No, yeah, okay. Alright, fair enough. I am wrong. Okay, so I didn't feel the need to play Giant Trainer except with the FTK, but it looks like a lot of people were playing Giant Trainer. I mean, it's a good card, and it's easy to make with the skill, so I can see why it would be a problem, but really that's more of an issue with the skill than it is with the card. Whatever. Alright. Shiranui Spirit Master has been limited to 1. This is a big change. The top person who got Global KC Cup 100 is playing Enemy Controller, and I believe a lot of other Shiranui players were as well. Yep. Yes, okay, so everyone that I can see who played Shiranui was playing Enemy Controller. So Ooh, this guy was playing Monster Reborn in Tachon as well, so that's another limit one that they lose if they want to play Monster Reborn. Sorry guys, I'm going over things in real time. Yeah, it looks like a lot of Tachyon players actually were playing Monster Reborn. Not the top one, but several. So that's another way the limit one impacts them. Okay. Spirit Master going to 1 is a more interesting situation. So Spirit Master is a very useful card to have in the deck, primarily so that you can banish it with Gold Sarcophagus and get a free pop. Gold Sarcophagus is useful for other things. You can use it on Solitaire, so it's a flexible card. But if you take Spirit Master out of the deck, then Gold Sarcophagus also loses this flexibility. It's only good for banishing exactly Solitaire at that point, which is less useful to you on turn 1 going second. So if you're going second, then banishing the Solitaire is like a win more option as opposed to a board building option, whereas Spirit Master was a way to clear the board and help you get around negates. So that makes Gold Sarcophagus more of a going first card, which is a huge nerf. But only if you cut Spirit Master. So the question is Gold Sarcophagus so important to the deck that people will still run Spirit Master over Enemy Controller? Enemy Controller is a really, really good card. And especially against Tachyon. I do think that Tachyon is going to remain in the meta, and the problem is if Tachyon is going to start making Dingirsu as their turn 1 play, then cards like Spirit Master become less important, whereas cards like Enemy Controller, which can remove the Tachyon without destroying it, become more important. So this is not as cut and dry as you might think. Enemy Controller is a very, very good card, and the fact that it got limited to 1 has changed the meta a lot. If Enemy Controller had stayed limited to, and trust me, there would have been a lot of different decks over the last year and a half, as opposed to what we saw, because Enemy Controller warps the way that the game is played. And I don't know that Shiranui is going to be willing to cut it, even for their own cards. So this will be interesting. I think most lower ranked players will probably just cut Enemy Controller because they want to run all the Shiranui cards. I personally didn't find Shiranui Spirit Master that useful, and I don't play Gold Sarcophagus in my version of the deck. We will have to see. This is one that you're going to have to watch out for. Xian Spy and Vengeful Servant are both being limited to 1. So they say explicitly, we are limiting this card as having, for Vengeful Servant, we are limiting this card as having 2 or more copies of this card has allowed players to consistently end duels in 1 turn. So very funny that they are limiting Vengeful Servant to 1, which is literally all they needed to do to stop the FTK, but they're also limiting Xian Spy to 1, because they don't want people to play Vengeful Servant and Xian Spy together, which raises the question of what the heck Vengeful Servant is going to do now. Like, yes, you don't want Vengeful Servant to be used in an FTK, absolutely. But this card does nothing. It literally, it's an equip spell that says, when control of the equipped monster changes, burn the new controller for half its attack points. So if you can't play it with Xian Spy, what is the point of having this card in the game at all? Is it literally just to equip to one of your monsters, so that if your opponent mind controls it, they take some damage? Like just ban the card then at that point. If there's literally no chance for this card to see any use at all, just ban it. I don't understand why they would limit it to 1. There's no way that you can play the card at 1, especially if Xian Spy is not in the game at the same time. Like, okay. Xian Spy has uses outside of Vengeful Servant. It's fine to limit Xian Spy to 1. I understand that. You can play Xian Spy on a card like, it would have to be an effect that is bad for you. You could play Xian Spy on your Mechlord Emperor Weissel, for example, to allow you to attack with other monsters. Because Mechlord Emperor Weissel says this other monsters you control cannot attack. So there are monsters that you could potentially have that could either have a floodgate type effect for you, which you give to your opponent, so that either you aren't impacted by it, or better yet, your opponent is impacted by it instead, which Mechlord Emperor Weissel is not a good example, but I can't think of one other than Destiny Hero Dark Angel, which would literally stop you from playing Qian Spy to begin with. But regardless, there are options for using Qian Spy on your turn to set up some sort of weird lethal, besides just burn. But Vengeful Servant is just worthless without 2 copies of it and Qian Spy. So, especially since the burn damage is out. So just ban it at that point. Yes, I get that you could potentially play Vengeful Servant on a card with 8,000 attack points, and then Qian Spy it, and they want to avoid that. But at that point, I feel like you've earned it. Like, I don't have a problem with the Imitation FTK, because the Imitation FTK is you literally making a monster with 8,000 attack points, destroying it, and inflicting half damage to your opponent. That seems fair. That's like Catapult Turtle. So that's fair to me, in my opinion. So Vengeful Servant at 1 with Qian Spy seems like it would be completely fair, because then you have to get the monster up to 8,000 attack points. But, I don't know. At this point, Vengeful Servant is a completely worthless card. It's very frustrating to me. They're even leaving it in the game at that point. And they put Thomas to 2, so now you can play Thomas with Giant Trainer, so that Triple D is not impacted as much. Is it bad that we have 2 Thomases? Because Thomas is like a dangerous card. Let's take a look at Thomas. So the Pendulum effect is during your main phase, you can add 1 face-up Triple D or Double D Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. And the field effect, I think this is the big one. You can target 1 Triple D. You can target 1 Double D card in your Pendulum zone, destroy that card, and if you do, special summon 1 level 8 Triple D monster from your deck in defense position. But for the rest of the turn, its effects are negated, and any battle damage your opponent takes becomes halved. That is stupid. So yeah, that effect is really good. It is a hard once per turn, so getting multiple copies of Savant Thomas out at the same time isn't that big of a deal. But this gets you get Ragnarok. It lets you get other cards. I don't know that having 2 copies of this in the deck is fair, but we'll have to see. Keep an eye on Triple D. This could push Triple D over the edge, actually. Then for the other limit 3s, we have Shiranui Solitaire. This one is a little bit more hard to evaluate, because Shiranui, for the most part, has not been playing too many limit 3s. The top player was playing Mind Control. Let's see. No, it does look like a lot of Shiranui players are playing Mind Control right now. Mind Control is an annoying card. Let's not. And then I see some people playing Compulse as well. Let's not pretend that Mind Control isn't a dumb card. Mind Control is a very frustrating card. So for Mind Control to be out of Shiranui hands is fair. They link cards off. They have plenty of access to link monsters, and Synchro Summoning has always been kind of like a deck that was dangerous to give Mind Control access to anyway, because all that matters is the level of the monster. And yeah, it's not consistent if you can't control what level the monster you're stealing is. But Shiranui has so many different levels. They have like a 7, they have a 6, they have an 8, that they are a lot more flexible with the ability to use a monster that they stole from their opponent as synchro material, as opposed to someone like Speedways, where everything is level 7. So I don't have a problem with Shiranui Solitaire being limited to 3. Shiranui Solitaire is different than Shiranui Spirit Master. You are absolutely going to play Solitaire at 3, so this cuts Shiranui from limit 3 cards altogether. And all the zombie support that we've been getting seems like it's going to continue. We do have a new skill that talks about Red Eye Zombie Dragon Lord, I think it's called. So there's going to be more zombie support coming out, and it's always possible that a zombie card is released at limit 3, or, you know, there's going to be another selection box coming. Maybe there's going to be a card that's really good for zombies that's limited to 3. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but maybe there's going to be a card for zombies that is like a generic, really good support card, and it's going to be limited to 3, and they want to preemptively keep Shiranui from it. So this is a fine change. Lastly, we have Galactic Spiral Dragon. Galactic Spiral Dragon is a huge nerf for going to 3, because, let's see, Tachon was playing Crackdown, they were playing Terrors of the Overroot, they were playing Ice Dragon's Prison. And Ice Dragon's Prison was the really frustrating one for a lot of people, because a lot of people play skills that are worse than Tachyon Dragon Domination, and they are restricted from special summoning. And that's kind of like the balancing act of Ice Dragon's Prison, is that it's a really, really strong card. I think that they released it too early in Duel Links, but it's a really, really strong card, and the fact that so many skills prevent you from special summoning specific, other than specific types of monsters, means that Ice Dragon's Prison is usually only present in decks that don't have really good skills. So the fact that Tachon Dragon Domination allowed Ice Dragon's Prison for some reason was really problematic, and it being taken away with Galactic Spiral Dragon is nice. Galactic Spiral Dragon is harder to say as to whether, especially since we don't have Giant Trainer anymore, as to whether people will be willing to cut this card for a limit 3. I'm not seeing, let's see, take a look here. I'm actually not seeing too many people at top 100 playing Trade-In in Tachyon, which is surprising to me, but I mean, I guess when the deck is that consistent, you just run a bunch of monsters and you don't play Trade-In. So if Tachyon is not playing Trade-In, then Galactic Spiral Dragon becomes less necessary. It's really good with Starleech Seifert, but maybe you just cut Starleech Seifert anyway, because you're not playing Giant Trainer, so you don't need 3 monsters anymore. So it's possible that there's a way to make your turn 1 board without Galactic Spiral, and you just cut Galactic Spiral and you just play Schwarzschild and Parsec and Nebula Dragon, maybe. But we'll have to see. It's a really strong card. I would be surprised if it got cut, but I wouldn't be that surprised. This is another one where the raw power of Ice Dragon's Prison might be stronger than Galactic Spiral Dragon, to be honest. Unlimits. Evil Swarm Ophion is unlimited. This is fantastic. Evil Swarms did not need this card limited to begin with. Evil Swarms are a very hard deck to build. Hopefully this is a sign that they're building a pickup box for Ophion, because it doesn't make sense that Constellars were so easy to build and Evil Swarms are literally in like 8 different boxes. It's crazy. So they need to... Evil Swarms are the deck that need a pickup box more than literally anyone else, because they were just spread across so many boxes for no reason. So please give us a pickup box for Evil Swarms. The skill is really cool. The monster is really cool. Now that it's unlimited, everyone wants to play it. Give us the pickup box. You'll make a ton of money, Konami. Condemned Witch. This one's frustrating. Condemned Witch being limited to 3 was my justification for thinking it was okay that Forbidden Droplet was unlimited. Now that Condemned Witch and Forbidden Droplet are unlimited, that's a little bit much, Konami. I don't like this change. I think that if Forbidden Droplet is going to be searchable, the searchable card should not be unlimited, because Forbidden Droplet is a really good card, and the fact that it's not limited to 3 is a problem. Maybe this is a sign that they're going to limit 3 Forbidden Droplet in the future, but I would have liked to see them do it now. Oh, this is going to not be so fun, chat. Cosmo Town, this is ridiculous. This card just came out. I mean, Condemned Witch just came out too, but Condemned Witch is more of like a card that I just don't agree with this. But this one I kind of agree with, but still, it's really early for this card to get unlimited, because it came out in the beginning of January and it's the end of February. So this card was only limited to 3 for like a month and a half. Cosmo hasn't been in the meta at all, so I can understand why they would think, okay, well, we can unlimit this card. But Cosmo is another deck that doesn't have a skill that restricts it. So if you unlimit Cosmo Town, they're going to play Ice Dragon's Prison. I don't want to see Ice Dragon's Prison anymore, but I guess their thought process is that if Ice Dragon's Prison is in the ladder, then Tachyon becomes worse, which is true. Mekk-Knight Blue Sky is unlimited. This is great. Mekk-Knights are no longer that big of a deal when you have skills like Tachyon Dragon Domination and the Shiranui Build-A-Board. Mekk-Knights are... They're a really powerful deck and very aggressive, and they build huge boards and really easily. And Mekk-Knight Blue Sky is a big part of that, but I don't think that means that Mekk-Knight should be out of the meta. I just think it means that they needed to wait for them to power creep in, and they've done it. Mekk-Knights have been power crept pretty hard, so I'll be interested to see if Crusadia Mekk-Knights becomes a meta player. Crusadia is already kind of close to that with the skill, so we'll see. And I would love to see more Avramax, so Mekk-Knights being in the meta with Crusadia does get us closer to people actually being able to summon Avramax on turn 5. Lady Debug, this is great. Lady Debug being unlimited is fantastic. This means that Code Talker players will be able to play their decks more easily. It means that Salamangreat has more normal summons. Lady Debug was a really good card, but honestly, I want to see Marincess come out. I'm hoping that this is a sign that Marincess is next. It'd be really good. So just let us. Well, actually, I don't know if Marincess has level 3 Cybers. Aren't all their monsters level 4 actually for no reason? Huh. Maybe Lady Debug doesn't see play in Marincess, but I would like more Cybers decks to be playable. So this is fine. This is fine. All right, that's it. So my thought process summed up: Tachyon's gotten hit, Shiranui's gotten hit. Both these decks are getting worse, but they will still probably be tier 3 to roguish, and this means that other decks are going to ascend. Mayakashi not getting hit was a problem. Mayakashi is really, really good right now. They had a fine showing in the top 100 of KC Cup. So Mayakashi definitely should have gotten nerfed. I guess they don't really know how to do it though, because Mayakashi doesn't play that many limit 1 cards or limit 3 cards. So it like Tenyi, and I think Konami's going to run into this problem more in the future with Tenyi, with Mayakashi, and other decks where the in-art type cards are so good and so flexible that you don't need to play back row. And how do you limit those cards? You just have to do a big ban list like they did with Mech Knights and with Salamangreat, where you limit like 4 cards at the same time. Remember what they did to Goki to stop people from playing Goki, where they limited 3 on 3 different cards in one ban list? That's what they're going to have to do with decks like Mayakashi, which Goki didn't deserve it. They did that so they could sell Crusadia, but Mayakashi definitely deserves that sort of nerf. So we'll have to see what they're going to do moving forward, because now it's going to be a Mayakashi meta, which I don't like. Tenyi didn't get changed, but Tenyi only had a top 1, so I'm not all that worried about Tenyi at this point. And there you go. So that's my changes. What are you thinking about it? Let me know in the comments. My name is Sarafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.